Lawrence Larry Joseph Ellison, the U.S.-born entrepreneur best known as the founder and CEO of Oracle, an IT company that develops software and supplies server hardware, was ranked 5th in December 2021. He ranked 5th on Forbes, ahead of Larry Page, $126.3 billion, and Sergey Brin, $121.7 billion. At the time, Oracle's stock price rose 15% after the successful release of its annual report. This event increased the tycoon's net worth by $15 billion in just one day. Larry Ellison's teenage years. World War II was still raging when Lawrence saw the light of day in New York City on August 17, 1944. His mother, Florence Spellman, was a Jewish immigrant. His mother was a Jewish immigrant who had to take care of her son alone. Little is known about the billionaire's father. He is not even mentioned by name in the documents, and the only information available is that he was a soldier in the U.S. Army. Larry fell ill with severe pneumonia at the age of 9 months and did not live long with his mother. 19-year-old Florence became unbearable to care for the infant. When 19-year-old Florence found that she could not care for the infant, she decided to leave the child with her Aunt Lily Spellman and son-in-law Louis Ellison. Little Lawrence had to travel 1,300 miles from the Big Apple to windy Chicago to end up with a new family. Lawrence's adoptive parents at the time were 41 years old and his adoptive parents were 51 years old. The boy was not allowed to know that he was not the biological son of the Ellisons. Larry dared to tell him that when he was 12 years old. The businessman met his biological mother Florence, a mature 48-year-old man. It's not hard to imagine that he inherited Allison's last name from his stepfather. However, that was not the case. Unwilling to betray Odessa's past and Jewish heritage, Louis created his last name locally when he emigrated to the United States. It was named after the permit area on Ellis Island. As an adult, Larry spoke very warmly of his adoptive mother. However, he hated his stepfather with all his heart. Pessimistic, conformist, and totally disillusioned with life, Louis took revenge on his defenseless stepson. The man had once been a businessman who had made a fortune in real estate, but the war had taken all his wealth. All he had left was a small amount of money from his job as a chartered accountant. The elder Allison ridiculed his stepson every chance he got. This affected the stepson's character, and he unknowingly began to seek protection and security for the rest of his life. Larry received a normal primary and secondary education. He was intelligent, but unfocused and quickly became lethargic. Nevertheless, Allison was interested in math and the exact sciences. How do black holes form? Why do spaceships fly? School lessons could not answer these questions, so the boy decided to take education into his own hands. At 18, Ellison, like many of his classmates, enrolled at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which in the 1960s was considered the best university to study computer science and engineering. To his chagrin, he forgot to take his exams and dropped out. After spending a summer vacation in Northern California, he gradually came to his senses, decided to try again, and enrolled at a private University of Chicago. At the time, the University of Chicago was one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. The young man is drawn to computer science, but he can't stay within the walls of his alma mater, and after one semester the main character decides to leave student life behind forever. Towards happiness in a turquoise convertible, his first job. Young and free, Larry heads to sunny California. A man in a luxury turquoise T-Bird, a Ford Thunderbird convertible, sets off in 1966 for Berkeley, where Allison wanted to find his destiny. At age 23, he found a job at an employment agency, where he met his first wife. He moved to Wells Fargo and Company Bank, then to Amdahl Corporation, a mainframe developer, and then in 1973 he moved to Ampex, an electrical engineering company. What followed was a major turning point for Ellison. A self-taught developer, Ellison was put in charge of creating the database, a secret project codenamed Oracle. The path to Oracle, The Birth of the Company. When he received his assignment, Ellison studied the writings of Edgar Codd, the inventor of the relational data model. Ellison was impressed by the enormous potential of a universal database running on a computing device controlled by SQL, query language. Codd himself was working for IBM at the time, but did not particularly appreciate his developments. Larry did not ignore his inventions like Thomas Edison, but knew how to improve them and bring commercially viable products to market. In 1977, Ellison and his Ampex colleagues, Bob Miner and Ed Watson, founded the Software Development Institute. The Software Development Institute had several names and eventually became Oracle. 1979 Relational Software Incorporated. 1982 Oracle. They managed to raise $2,000, of which the founders split $1,200 and Bob and Ed each raised $800. They immediately began developing a commercial relational database, but found that such a complex task was beyond the capabilities of 3 people. So Ellison hires programmer Bruce Scott as her first employee. While Ellison and her team write the code, Larry works as a salesman, doing his best to find customers for a product that has not yet been released to the public. The age of Oracle, only Microsoft is ahead of its time. The object relational database Oracle V2 appeared as early as 1979. Although this product was groundbreaking, its developers dared to attach version 2 to its name, so that customers would not get the impression that it was the first pancake, which, as we know, often gives a bad impression. This invention really did not disappoint us. It worked fast and well, and it supported SQL's query language perfectly. The first customer was a solid one, the U.S. Air Force Base. When the product got a taste of novelty, even the CIA became interested in it. Now he could proudly say, Oracle protects national interests. But Ellison did not give up. He built his own databases, trained them, and consulted with customers as needed. By 1980, sales reached $1 million. In 1986, Ellison went public on the NASDAQ North American Stock Exchange. The IPO brought Larry Ellison $31.5 million, $3.1 billion. With $185 million in capital, Larry Ellison automatically became a billionaire. Incidentally, today Oracle is in second place, after Microsoft, in software sales, but in the 1980s it was ahead of its competitors. Oracle went public one day earlier than Microsoft. The roller coaster of the 1990s into the luxury of the 2000s. But all good things come to an end sooner or later. In the 1990s, Ellison made an irreparable mistake that got the company embroiled in litigation. In the 1990s, Ellison made an irreparable mistake that got the company embroiled in litigation. The company was profitable, but by 1991 sales had dropped 80%, and the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Mr. Ellison had enough self-control to calmly assess the situation. He realized that the former management team could no longer control Oracle's billion-dollar empire. Larry himself decided that the business was more important than the team. And with one order he forced 400 employees, including respected managers, out on the street. The founder modestly explains that he had no other choice. However, this painful decision paid off, and profits rose steadily until the mid-1990s. This was due to the massive opening of dot-coms, companies specializing in the internet, which increased the demand for databases. In 2000, just before the dot-com crash, Larry Ellison had a fortune of $48 billion. In March 2009, he was named one of the 3 richest men in the United States. Mr. Ellison was one of the first businessmen to recognize the inexhaustible potential of the internet. He knew that the internet was as much a repository of data as it was a powerhouse of computation. Oracle became the world's leading cloud computing provider, offering companies a range of integrated applications for financial, marketing, industrial and service businesses. Larry Ellison, 70, resigned as CEO of Oracle in September 2014 after 37 years of service. However, the founder of the company is not going to leave, but will continue to serve as chairman of the board. He also continues to serve as Chief Technology Officer, CTO. According to Forbes, Ellison's fortune is. The billionaire himself does not comment to the media on the size of his fortune. According to Forbes, as of early 2022, Ellison is the fifth richest man in the world. His personal fortune is estimated at $135.7 billion. Unlike other founders of very large companies who pay a token $1 salary, Larry valued his job as CEO.